We're all looking for that fresh start, right? A new city, a new life. But what happens when that new beginning takes you somewhere with a really, really dark past? Today, we're diving into the absolutely chilling story of Samir, a young man whose dream of an education led him right into the nightmare of Hostel Room 313. And this story is built on one terrifying idea, that some things, some beings, are only visible to certain people. It's a really chilling thought, isn't it? What you experience as cold, hard reality, someone else could just write off as you losing your mind. And for one young man, that line is about to get very, very blurry. So let's meet our main character, Samir. He comes from a small village, and calling him an introvert, well, that's putting it mildly. This was a kid who lived completely in his own head, who found it almost impossible to connect with anyone. And you can just feel the pressure he was under. I mean, Samir wasn't just the quiet kid, he was a target. Bullies were all over him. His one big dream was just to get out, to become an engineer. And when he finally got into a college in Pune, his family, they sacrificed everything. They actually mortgaged a piece of their land just to pay his fees, putting all of their hopes and dreams right on his shoulders. So Samir gets to the hostel and the warden gives him his room key, room 312. And then he just casually mentions, oh, by the way, the room next door, 313, that one's always locked. Just a simple fact, right? But it's the very first stitch in what's about to become a very, very dark story. Now you'd think in this big, isolating hostel, Samir would feel just as alone as he did back home. But then, something completely unexpected happened. He made a connection. For what was probably the first time in his entire life, Samir actually made a friend. And this friend was a senior, a guy named Kabir. Whenever other students would pick on Samir or try to rag him, Kabir would be the one to step in. He'd comfort Samir, he'd talk to him, he made him feel like he actually existed. For a boy as lonely as Samir, this was everything. This was a lifeline. So after this happens a few times, Samir finally gets the courage to really talk to this guy, his new friend. He finds out Kabir is a third-year student. And then Kabir says something that just stops Samir cold. He says, I live right next door, in room 313. Hold on a second. Wait, what? This is where it all starts to feel wrong, isn't it? The warden was very clear. The room is always locked. Samir himself had only ever seen a lock on that door. So how in the world could Kabir be living there? But Kabir, he just laughs it off. He's like, don't worry about it. I'm a senior. I've got friends all over the city, so I'm barely here. The warden probably just forgot about me. And, it's a decent excuse. It's plausible. And Samir, who is so desperate for this friendship, he just chooses to believe it. Okay, so 6 months go by, the friendship gets stronger. Samir is finally starting to feel a little less alone. And then, one dark, stormy night, everything changes. The little piece of peace he's found is about to be absolutely obliterated. It all happened so fast. There's this massive thunderstorm. Thunder is just crashing outside, and Samir is terrified, so he knocks on room 313. Kabir lets him in, tells him to take the spare bed. But a few hours later, Samir is violently woken up by the sound of glass shattering and this disgusting smell, like rotting meat. He looks over, and Kabir's bed is empty. He's gone. The smell, it seems to be coming from under his bed. With his heart just hammering in his chest, terrified of what he might find, Samir forces himself to look down. And what he sees there, it's not natural. It's something unholy. This isn't just some mess. It is, without a doubt, a ritual. On the floor, drawn in charcoal, is this bizarre diagram. And right in the middle, there's a lemon. And sticking out of the lemon are 7 rusty nails, with this thick red liquid just oozing out. There is no mistaking it. This is black magic. Totally terrified, Samir scrambles to the bathroom to find Kabir. The door is just a little bit open, and inside, oh my God, the sight is just impossible. Kabir is on the floor, but he's balanced on his neck and shoulders in a way that just defies physics, with his back to the door. And he's chanting, but it's not his voice. It sounds like 7 or 8 people all talking at once, in a language Samir has never, ever heard. As Samir is backing away, just completely horrified, he bumps into a bucket and it makes this loud clang. The chanting stops. And then Kabir's head, it slowly, unnaturally, twists a full 180 degrees to face him. His eyes are glowing pure white. And in that monstrous layered voice it says, "My ritual is ruined because of you." In an instant, Kabir is right in front of Samir, standing completely still like a statue. But the real horror is on the wall behind him. See, Kabir isn't moving an inch, but his shadow is. It's twisting and growing on its own, stretching all the way up to the ceiling, completely disconnected from the person casting it. Samir makes a break for the door, but as he does, two smoky, ghost-like hands erupt from under the bed, from where the ritual was. But they don't grab Samir, they grab Kabir. And as Kabir is fighting them, there's this deafening boom, a blinding flash of white light, and then nothing. Samir is knocked out cold. Samir wakes up, but he's not in room 313. He's on the cold floor of the hallway, right outside that locked door. The warden and a bunch of other students are looking down at him. The sun is up. The nightmare, it seems, is over. Or is it just getting started? The warden takes Samir to his office and plays the security footage from last night. And the camera shows Samir, all alone, pacing back and forth in front of the locked door of room 313 all night long. He's talking, he's arguing, he's gesturing to absolutely no one. Samir tries to explain everything about Kabir, the black magic, the chanting. The warden just cuts him off with a sentence that completely destroys Samir's reality. He says, "No boy named Kabir even lives in this hostel." He says Kabir used to live here. 7. 7 is the number of years since a student named Kabir, a student who was obsessed with black magic, took his own life. Where? In that very room. Room 313. So, what in the world really happened that night? And what about the 6 months before that? This brings us to the biggest, most unanswerable question of this entire story. Was Samir being haunted by a ghost? Or was he being haunted by his own mind? Well, the official explanation, the one that goes in the reports, is a medical one. They called Samir's parents, he saw a psychologist, and he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. The theory goes that his intense isolation and loneliness literally caused his mind to break, to invent a friend, a protector, who eventually morphed into a monster. But you have to wonder, right? If it was all in his head, why did it happen there, in that specific hostel? And how did his hallucination have the name Kabir, a real person he'd never even met? It leaves us with the ultimate chilling question. Was this a mind breaking under the weight of loneliness? Or is the ghost of Kabir still in room 313, just waiting for the next lonely soul? Maybe some doors are meant to stay locked,